The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional marketing, financial, or legal advice. Results in e-commerce and email marketing vary significantly based on numerous factors including product market fit, industry trends, and individual execution. Viewers are encouraged to perform their own due diligence and consult with a qualified professional before making significant business decisions or investments. Any mention of historical trends, case studies, or potential outcomes does not ensure future performance. Right now, as you are watching this, some of the most successful Shopify stores in the world are generating over 30% of their total revenue from a channel that many people claim is dead. While the average entrepreneur is throwing thousands of dollars into the bottomless pit of Meta ads and TikTok sponsorships, watching their profit margins get squeezed by rising customer acquisition costs, the elite 1% are quietly building an asset they actually own. The biggest lie in digital marketing today is that social media is the king of retention. In reality, relying solely on social platforms is like building a multi-million-dollar mansion on a piece of land you are renting from a landlord who can kick you out at any moment. Historical trends across the e-commerce landscape show a consistent volatility in advertising costs, especially after major privacy updates like iOS 14.5, which disrupted tracking and increased the cost to acquire a single customer by nearly 60% for many niches. If your business depends on an algorithm to reach your own customers, you do not own a business. You own a gamble. Today, we are opening the door to the hidden engine of e-commerce profitability, Shopify email marketing. This is not a basic overview. This is a deep dive masterclass designed to move you away from the feast and famine cycle of paid traffic and toward a model of sustainable, predictable growth. The problem you are likely facing today is the leaky bucket syndrome. You spend hours creating content, you optimize your product pages, and you drive traffic to your Shopify store only for 98% of those visitors to leave and never come back. You are paying for the click, but you are not capturing the soul of the transaction, which is the direct line of communication. By the end of this masterclass series, you will understand how to transform your email list from a simple spreadsheet into a high-performance sales machine that works while you sleep. We are going to solve the problem of low customer lifetime value and high churn rates by showing you exactly how to implement systems that have been observed in successful case studies to double or even triple the revenue per subscriber. This is about taking control of your data and your destiny. To begin this masterclass, we must first address the foundational pillar of any successful Shopify email strategy: the infrastructure of information. Many store owners make the mistake of thinking that email marketing starts with sending an email. It does not. It starts at the point of capture. If you are not aggressively and intelligently collecting first-party data, you are leaving your future revenue to chance. We need to look at the psychology of the opt-in. Historical trends in user behavior suggest that the traditional generic sign-up for our newsletter pop-up is no longer effective. It is perceived as digital noise. To achieve potential outcomes that actually move the needle, we must utilize what is known as the value exchange model. Think about the last time you gave away your email address to a brand. You did it because the perceived value of what you were receiving was higher than the perceived cost of giving up your privacy. In the Shopify ecosystem, this usually takes the form of a lead magnet. However, a deep dive into successful e-commerce data shows that the type of lead magnet you choose dictates the quality of the customer you attract. For example, a 10% discount code is a standard industry practice, but it often attracts price-sensitive shoppers who may only buy once and never return. Conversely, some high-end lifestyle brands have seen success by offering educational value, such as a comprehensive guide on how to style their products or a masterclass on a topic relevant to their niche. This shifts the relationship from transactional to authoritative. When we talk about the technical implementation on Shopify, we aren't just looking at a pop-up that appears after 5 seconds. We are looking at behavioral triggers. You should be utilizing exit intent technology, which tracks the mouse movement of a user. When the system detects they are about to hit the back button or close the tab, that is the moment to present an irresistible offer. This is your last-ditch effort to save a lost lead. But we go deeper. Consider the concept of microsegmentation at the point of entry. Instead of just asking for an email address, you can use a two-step form. Step 1, ask for their email. Step 2, ask one simple, high-value question. If you sell skincare, ask what is your skin type? If you sell fitness gear, ask what is your primary goal? This data is then passed directly into your email service provider, such as Klaviyo or OmniSend, allowing you to trigger a welcome sequence that is personalized to their specific needs from the very first second. Let's examine the data behind why this matters. Historical data suggests that personalized email campaigns see a significantly higher open and click-through rate compared to generic blasts. By knowing a customer's preference before they even make their first purchase, you are positioning your brand as a solution-oriented partner rather than a cold corporation. This level of detail is what separates the stores that struggle to break 6 figures from the ones that scale to 7 and 8 figures. You are building a profile. Every click, every browse, and every abandoned cart is a data point that should be used to refine your messaging. Furthermore, we must discuss the technical hygiene of your list. A common mistake is focusing on the size of the list rather than the engagement of the list. Case studies of brands that have faced deliverability issues often point toward a lack of list cleaning. If you are sending emails to thousands of people who haven't opened an email in 6 months, Gmail and Outlook will begin to flag your content as spam. This lowers your sender reputation and ensures that even your most loyal customers stop seeing your emails in their primary inbox. A masterclass level strategy involves setting up automated sunset flows. This is a sequence that identifies unengaged subscribers and gives them one final, high-value reason to stay. If they don't engage, the system automatically removes them. This might seem counterintuitive, but a smaller, highly engaged list is infinitely more valuable and profitable than a massive, dormant one. As we move through this series, keep in mind that email marketing is the only channel where you have a direct, unmediated relationship with your audience. You aren't bidding for their attention in an auction against your competitors every single time you want to talk to them. You have already won the auction at the moment they signed up. Now your job is to nurture that relationship through consistency, relevance, and value. The potential outcomes of a perfectly tuned email ecosystem are not just increased sales, but a more resilient business that can weather any economic storm or platform shift. We are building a fortress around your brand, and it starts with these technical, strategic foundations of data collection and behavioral understanding. We will now look at how to take that captured data and turn it into a high-converting automated machine. To understand the transition from data collection to a high-converting automated machine, you must first grasp the concept of the welcome flow. In the current landscape of 2026, consumers are no longer just looking for a product. They are looking for an identity alignment. Imagine if a potential customer named Sarah, living in Seattle, lands on your Shopify store or a Threads. She is looking for sustainable athleisure. She sees your high-value lead magnet offering a guide on the best sustainable fabrics for performance, and she signs up. In this exact moment, the clock starts. Historical trends in 2025 and early 2026 show that the first 15 minutes after a sign-up are the most critical in the entire customer journey. This is when the dopamine hit of the brand discovery is at its peak. If you wait an hour to send that first email, you have already lost the battle for her attention. The first step in building this automated machine is the identity anchor email. This is not just a delivery mechanism for a discount code. In a successful case study of a New York-based skincare brand, they found that potential outcomes improved by 40% when they moved away from a discount-heavy first email to a story-driven one. Your first automated email must achieve 3 things. It must deliver the value you promised, it must introduce the founder or the mission to humanize the brand, and it must set expectations for the relationship. In 2026, consumers are hyper-aware of automated marketing. They know they are in a sequence. To break through that wall, your copy needs to sound like it was written by a human for a human. Use a plain text style or a very minimal design that mirrors a personal note. Jackson, the founder of Aura Threads, implemented this by sending an email that looked like a personal message from his iPhone, explaining why he started the brand using recycled ocean plastics. This created an immediate emotional bond that a flashy, graphic-heavy newsletter could never achieve. Moving into the second stage of the automation, usually 24 hours later, we enter the logic bridge. By now, Sarah has received her fabric guide or her discount, but she hasn't purchased yet. Most Shopify owners make the mistake of sending another reminder about the discount. This is a mistake. Instead, you need to provide more value that addresses a specific pain point. This is where the zero-party data you collected at the sign-up form comes into play. If Sarah told you she is interested in yoga, this second email should be a curated list of your top-rated yoga leggings and a link to a blog post about the 3 most common mistakes in post-workout recovery. Historical trends indicate that providing educational content before the second sales push increases the long-term customer lifetime value because you are establishing authority. You are not just a vendor. You are an expert in her lifestyle. Step by step, you are building a profile of Sarah's preferences without her even realizing it. Every click she makes in this email tells your Shopify backend more about what she values. By the 48-hour mark, we trigger the social mirror. This is the third email in the sequence, and its primary goal is to leverage the psychological principle of social proof. In 2026, traditional 5-star reviews are often met with skepticism. To achieve high retention potential outcomes, you must use user-generated content or UGC. This email should feature real people with real names and real locations, using your products in their everyday lives. Imagine if Sarah sees a video of another woman in Seattle wearing the Aura Threads leggings while hiking at Mt. Rainier. This is the social mirror effect. She sees a version of herself in your product. The data from 2026 case studies suggest that video testimonials embedded as GIFs within an email can increase click-through rates by up to 25% compared to static images. You are showing her that her community trusts you, which lowers the perceived risk of the first purchase. The fourth email in this masterclass level welcome flow is the incentive expiration. This is where you introduce a controlled amount of urgency. It is important to avoid aggressive or false scarcity, as the modern consumer is highly cynical of countdown timers that reset every time they refresh the page. Instead, use authentic expiration on the initial offer you gave her. This email should be short and direct. It reminds her that her special welcome offer expires in 12 hours. The logic here is simple. Humans are naturally inclined to avoid loss more than they are to seek gain. By framing the end of the discount as a loss of opportunity, you trigger the final push needed for the conversion. However, the technical architecture behind this is what truly matters. In your Shopify email tool, whether it is Klaviyo or a 2026 specific AI integration, you must use conditional splits. This means if Sarah has already made a purchase after the first email, the automation must immediately divert her into a post-purchase flow and stop the welcome flow. There is nothing that ruins a customer's perception of a brand faster than receiving a "Don't forget your 10% off" email 2 hours after they have already spent $100 on your site. This requires a seamless integration between your Shopify checkout data and your email service provider. You need to ensure your triggers are set to placed order equals 0 for every step of the welcome sequence. Furthermore, let's talk about the sunset logic within your automation. Even at this early stage, you need to be thinking about list health. If Sarah goes through the entire 4-email sequence and does not click or open a single thing, she shouldn't just be left on the main list to be bombarded with weekly newsletters. A sophisticated Shopify strategy involves a branch in the automation where non-responders are moved to a low engagement bucket. These individuals are sent emails less frequently to protect your sender reputation. Historical trends show that brands that ignore this and keep blasting their entire list regardless of engagement see their emails landing in the promotions or spam folders within 3 to 6 months. Consider the imagine if scenario where you have 5 different welcome flows running simultaneously based on 5 different entry points. Someone who signed up via a quiz about their fitness goals gets a different 4-day experience than someone who signed up via a giveaway on a partner's website. This level of granularity is what defines the elite Shopify stores of 2026. You are not sending a broadcast, you are facilitating a conversation. The goal of this automated machine is to make every single subscriber feel like the brand is speaking directly to them and their specific needs. But what happens when the conversation stops halfway? What happens when Sarah adds those yoga leggings to her cart, enters her shipping information, but then gets a phone call and leaves the site? This is the moment where most revenue is lost, and it is also where the most powerful and often most misunderstood automation comes into play. Most people call it an abandoned cart sequence, but in 2026 we call it the recovery ecosystem. The strategy for recovering these nearly lost sales requires a completely different psychological approach than the welcome flow. It requires a deep understanding of friction, anxiety, and the invisible cart theory. If you think a simple "you forgot something" email is enough to win in today's competitive market, you are leaving a massive percentage of your potential outcomes on the table. In the next part, we are going to dive into the exact 3-step recovery sequence that is currently generating a 15 to 20% lift in total revenue for top-tier Shopify brands. We will look at why your current abandoned cart emails might actually be training your customers to wait for a discount, and how to fix that behavior immediately. We will also uncover the secret of the browse abandonment trigger, which allows you to reach customers before they even add an item to their cart. This is where the real money is made. The browse abandonment trigger is the single most underutilized asset in the Shopify ecosystem today in 2026. While every store owner has a basic abandoned cart email set up, the elite brands are looking at the data much earlier in the funnel. Historical trends show that for every one person who adds an item to their cart, there are approximately 10 people who view a product page and leave without taking any action. If you are only targeting the cart abandoners, you are ignoring 90% of your high-intent traffic. Imagine if a customer named Marcus in Austin, Texas, is browsing your store Heritage Brew, which sells high-end espresso machines. Marcus looks at a specific $1,200 manual lever machine, reads the description, checks the shipping page, and then closes his browser. He never added it to the cart, so your abandoned cart sequence never fires. Without a browse abandonment flow, Marcus is a ghost. With it, you have a bridge back to a potential sale. The first secret to a high-performing recovery ecosystem is understanding the distinction between friction and intent. A cart abandoner has high intent but hit a point of friction, such as unexpected shipping costs or a complicated checkout. A browse abandoner has interest but perhaps lacks the specific intent to buy right now. To capture Marcus, your browse abandonment email needs to be incredibly low pressure. In 2026, the best performing browse abandonment emails don't even mention the word buy. Instead, they use a helpful service-oriented tone. The subject line might be "quick question about the manual lever machine," and the body of the email simply asks if he has any technical questions about the boiler capacity or the heat-up time. Case studies of specialty appliance retailers have shown that this service-first approach can lead to potential outcomes where the engagement rate is 3 times higher than traditional sales-heavy emails. Now let's pivot to the 3-step recovery sequence for the cart itself, which is where you must combat the discount-seeking behavior that many brands have accidentally trained their customers to expect. Historical trends in e-commerce over the last decade have created a savvy consumer who knows that if they leave an item in their cart, they will likely receive a 15% discount code within 2 hours. This ruins your margins and devalues your brand. In this masterclass, we advocate for a zero-discount first recovery email. Step 1 of your recovery sequence should trigger exactly 45 minutes after the cart is abandoned. This email is the customer service nudge. Imagine the copy. "Hey Marcus, we noticed you were looking at the lever machine. Did our site glitch? Or do you have a question about the voltage requirements?" Reply to this email and a real human will help you out. No graphics, no big buttons, just a text-based inquiry. This solves for the friction without giving away your profit margin. Step 2 of the recovery sequence should trigger 24 hours later. This is the objection crusher. By this point, Marcus has had time to overthink the purchase. He is likely worried about the learning curve of a manual machine or the warranty. This email should be a curated FAQ or a short video tutorial showing how easy the machine is to clean. You are providing the information he needs to move from a state of hesitation to a state of confidence. Data from mid-2025 across several Shopify Plus stores indicated that addressing the top 3 customer objections in the second recovery email resulted in a 12% increase in recovery rates without the use of a single discount code. You are selling the solution, not the price point. Step 3, the final step in the recovery sequence, triggers 48 to 72 hours later. This is the only time you should consider an incentive, and even then, it should be framed as a limited time opportunity to secure the item before stock levels fluctuate. In the 2026 landscape, where supply chain transparency is high, telling Marcus that there are only 4 machines left in the Texas warehouse is a powerful, honest motivator. This is the final call. If he doesn't convert here, he is moved into a long-term nurture sequence. To implement this technically within Shopify, you must ensure your tracking pixels and server-side events are firing correctly. For browse abandonment specifically, your email service provider needs to identify the user. This usually happens through a cookie that was set when the user previously clicked an email from you or signed up for your list. This is why the first-party data collection we discussed in Part 1 is so vital. Without the initial identification, your browse abandonment triggers can't find their target. You should also set up frequency capping. You do not want to send Marcus a browse abandonment email every single time he looks at a product, or you will quickly become a nuisance. A standard rule of thumb observed in successful case studies is to limit browse abandonment emails to once every 7 to 14 days per user. Let's look at another scenario. Imagine a character named Elena in Miami who runs a boutique swimwear brand. She implemented a browse abandonment flow specifically for her new summer collection. Instead of a generic email, she used dynamic blocks that pulled in the exact product image Elena was looking at, along with 3 complementary items: a beach wrap, sunglasses, and a tote bag. This is the dynamic upsell strategy. By showing Elena how to complete the look, the brand increased the average order value of their recovered carts by 22%. This isn't just recovery, it's proactive revenue expansion. You are using the data of what they like to show them what else they will love. The depth of your data integration is the ceiling of your success. In 2026, we are seeing the rise of predictive intent scoring. Some advanced Shopify apps now use machine learning to analyze the speed of scrolling, the time spent on specific images, and the number of times a user returns to a page. If the intent score is high, the recovery email is sent sooner. If the intent score is low, the system might decide not to send an email at all to avoid list fatigue. This is the level of sophistication required to stay ahead of the competition. However, even the most advanced recovery ecosystem will fail if you don't master the art of the subject line and the preview text. These are the gatekeepers of your content. If Marcus doesn't open the email, the recovery doesn't happen. Historical trends suggest that using the customer's first name is no longer enough. It is expected. In 2026, you need to use contextual subject lines. Instead of "you left something behind," try "the manual lever machine is a beast. Here is why." It creates curiosity. It opens a loop in the reader's mind that can only be closed by clicking. We have covered how to capture the lead and how to recover the nearly lost sale. But there is a massive segment of your list that is neither a new lead nor an abandoner. These are your existing customers and your long-term leads who are sitting on your list, waiting for a reason to engage. This is where the content-to-commerce ratio becomes the most important metric in your business. Most Shopify owners treat their email list like a digital flyer, sending nothing but sales and promotions. This is a fast track to the spam folder. The real growth happens when you master the nurture and campaign engine. In the next part, we are going to break down the 80/20 content rule for 2026. I will show you how to create a content calendar that builds massive brand equity and trust, making your sales emails 10 times more effective when you finally do send them. We are also going to look at the product launch formula specifically for Shopify, which has been used to generate six-figure days for brands without spending a single dollar on extra advertising. If you want to know how to turn your email list into a community of raving fans who can't wait for your next notification, you cannot miss what is coming next. To master the nurture and campaign engine in 2026, you must understand that the modern inbox is no longer a bulletin board. It is a digital living room. If you enter that room only to scream about your latest 20% off sale, you will be ignored, muted, or kicked out. Historical trends in the US e-commerce sector indicate that the brands achieving the highest customer lifetime value are those that adhere to the 80/20 content rule. This rule dictates that 80% of your communication should be dedicated to providing pure value, education, or entertainment, while only 20% is reserved for direct sales pitches. This is the secret to building what we call reputation equity. Imagine a character named Liam in Chicago who runs a high-end Shopify store called Elevation Roasts, specializing in artisanal coffee and brewing equipment. In 2026, Liam doesn't just send out emails saying "buy our new Ethiopian beans." Instead, his Monday morning email is titled "The 3-Minute Trick for a Sweeter Pour-Over." In this email, Liam explains the science of water temperature and its effect on acidity. There is no buy button at the top. There is only a helpful, well-written guide that solves a specific problem for his customers. By the time Friday comes around and Liam sends his 20% sales email, his audience is primed to listen because he has spent the last 4 days serving them. The potential outcomes of this strategy are reflected in case studies where brands see a 50% higher open rate on their promotional emails compared to competitors who only send sales blasts. The 80% of value-based content can be broken down into 3 distinct categories: educational, inspirational, and behind the scenes. Educational content, like Liam's coffee tips, establishes you as the authority in your niche. Inspirational content involves sharing user-generated stories or lifestyle aspirational imagery that aligns with your brand's mission. Behind-the-scenes content humanizes the brand. In a 2026 marketplace where AI-generated content is everywhere, showing the real humans in your warehouse or the messy process of product development creates a level of authenticity that cannot be faked. This builds a psychological bridge of trust that makes the eventual purchase feel like a logical next step in the relationship. Now let's pivot to the product launch formula, a specialized strategy within your campaign engine that can generate massive revenue spikes. This is a multi-phase approach that builds anticipation to a fever pitch before the product even hits the site. We'll look at a case study of a tech accessory brand named Nova Case. When they launched their new carbon fiber laptop sleeve in early 2026, they didn't just send one email on launch day. They used a 4-phase launch sequence. Phase 1 is the curiosity gap, triggered 7 days before the launch. This email features a silhouette of the product or a close-up of the texture with a subject line like "something stronger than steel is coming." This email has no link to buy. Its only goal is to get the subscriber to open the email and start wondering. Historical data shows that creating a curiosity gap can increase the open rates of subsequent emails in the sequence by as much as 30%. Phase 2 is the problem/solution anchor, sent 4 days before the launch. In this phase, NovaCase sent an email detailing the common ways laptop screens get cracked in backpacks. They didn't mention the new product by name. They simply highlighted the pain point. This primes the customer's brain to look for a solution. You are not selling a laptop sleeve yet. You are selling the idea of protection and peace of mind. Phase 3 is the VIP early access, sent 24 hours before the official public launch. This is where you reward your most engaged subscribers. By giving them a secret link to buy before the rest of the world, you are elevating their status. In 2026, status is a powerful currency. People don't just want the product, they want to be the first to have it. Step by step, you are creating a sense of exclusivity that drives a surge of early orders. Phase 4 is the public drop in the 48-hour window. This is the main event. The email is high energy, features a clear call to action, and uses high-quality video or GIFs to show the product in motion. But the key is what happens after the drop. You must send follow-up emails at the 12-hour and 24-hour marks that highlight social proof. If the laptop sleeve is selling fast, you tell them, 300 people in New York just upgraded their gear is a much more powerful statement than "buy now." Technically, to execute this on Shopify, you need to be a master of segmentation. You should never send your entire launch sequence to your entire list if some of those people have never opened an email from you in a year. You should create a segment of active subscribers, those who have opened or clicked an email in the last 60 days. This ensures that your launch emails have a high engagement rate, which signals to email providers that your content is important, keeping you out of the promotions tab. Furthermore, you can use predictive analytics to determine the best time to send these emails. In 2026, Shopify's native integrations allow you to use send time optimization. This means that if Chloe in Los Angeles usually opens her emails at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Liam in Chicago opens his at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, the system will automatically stagger the delivery to hit their inboxes at the exact moment they are most likely to engage. This removes the guesswork from your campaign scheduling and significantly boosts your potential outcomes. Another advanced tactic is the re-engagement campaign within the 80-20 framework. Imagine if a segment of your list has stopped opening your value-based emails. Instead of letting them rot on your list, you trigger an automated win-back flow. This is a 3-part sequence designed to reignite the relationship. Email 1 is the "We missed you" note, often featuring a personal message from the founder. Email 2 is the "Is this still you?" note, where you ask them to update their preferences. This is a brilliant way to gather more data. Maybe they aren't interested in coffee beans anymore, but they are interested in tea. By giving them the option to change their interest profile, you save the subscriber and increase the relevance of your future campaigns. The final piece of the campaign engine is the post-campaign retrospective. Most Shopify owners hit send and then move on to the next task. The elite 1% spend the next day analyzing the data. They look at the click-to-open ratio to see if the content inside the email lived up to the promise of the subject line. They look at the revenue per subscriber for that specific campaign. If a certain type of educational content led to more sales than a direct promotion, they pivot their strategy accordingly. We have now built the infrastructure, automated the recovery, and mastered the art of the campaign. Your email list is now a high-velocity engine. But even the best engine can fail if it doesn't have the right fuel. In the world of Shopify email marketing, the fuel is your offer strategy and psychology. How do you structure an offer that feels like a no-brainer without devaluing your brand? How do you use the concepts of reciprocity and scarcity without looking like a late-night infomercial? In the next part, we are going to dive deep into the psychology of the offer. We will discuss why the standard 10% off is the slowest way to grow, and how to use gift with purchase, tiered incentives, and bundling to explode your average order value. We are also going to look at the invisible offer strategy that top-tier US brands are using to sell out products without ever mentioning a discount. You've got the engine. Now it's time to fill the tank with high-octane strategy. To understand why the psychology of the offer is the most critical component of your 2026 strategy, we have to look at the state of the digital economy. In 2026, the average U.S. consumer is bombarded with over 5,000 marketing messages a day. Their brains have developed a subconscious filter for the standard 10% off discount. Historically, the 10% discount was a powerful tool to nudge a hesitant buyer. But today, it is often viewed as a sign of a struggling brand or a product that was overpriced to begin with. To achieve high-tier potential outcomes, you must pivot away from price cutting and toward value stacking. Imagine a character named David in Denver who runs a Shopify store called Iron and Oak, specializing in high-end, modular woodworking tools. David noticed that his sales were stagnating despite a healthy flow of traffic. He was stuck in the trap of offering a rotating 15% discount every weekend. This created a boom and bust cycle where customers would only buy when they saw a coupon code. By looking at case studies of luxury automotive and high-end tech brands, David decided to flip the script. Instead of discounting his core product at $200 precision level, he introduced the gift with purchase or GWP strategy. The GWP strategy works because it maintains your price integrity while increasing the perceived value of the transaction. David sent an email to his list stating that for the next 48 hours, every purchase of a precision level would come with a free limited edition magnetic tool holster, valued at $30. For David, the cost of the holster was only $6 due to bulk manufacturing. By giving away a $6 item, he protected his $170 profit margin on the level, whereas a 15% discount would have cost him $30 in direct revenue. The psychological shift for the customer is massive. They aren't getting a cheap product, they are getting a premium toolkit. Step by step, David implemented this by using a Shopify app that automatically adds the free gift to the cart once the threshold is met, ensuring a frictionless checkout experience. Next, we must analyze the power of tiered incentives. This is where you gamify the spending experience for your subscribers. In 2026, consumer behavior data suggests that people are more likely to increase their order value if they feel they are unlocking levels of rewards. Let's look at a case study of a wellness brand based in Austin. They moved away from a flat discount model and implemented a 3-tier offer system in their email campaigns. Tier 1. Spend $75 and get free expedited shipping. Tier 2. Spend $150 and get a free branded water bottle. Tier 3. Spend $250 and get a $25 credit toward their next order. This tiered approach directly targets the average order value or AOV. By showing a progress bar in the cart, a technical feature easily integrated into Shopify, customers are nudged to add that one extra item to reach the next tier. The email marketing component of this strategy involves sending highly visual emails that clearly outline the tiers. Historically, brands using tiered incentives see a 15 to 20% increase in AOV compared to single offer campaigns. It turns a simple purchase into a mission to maximize value. Now, let's explore the concept of bundling for profitability. In 2026, shipping and fulfillment costs in the United States have reached an all-time high due to labor shifts and fuel surcharges. Sending one item to a customer in Miami and another to a customer in Seattle is expensive. Bundling allows you to increase the density of your shipments. Instead of selling a single bottle of beard oil, you create a daily grooming bundle that includes the oil, a comb, and a wash. From a psychological standpoint, you are offering a solution to a problem rather than just a product. You are telling the customer, here is everything you need for a perfect morning routine. To execute this on Shopify, you should use dynamic bundle blocks in your emails. These blocks show the customer the savings they get by buying the bundle versus buying each item individually. For example, the individual items might total $60, but the bundle is $50. Even though you are technically giving a discount, you are doing it in a way that rewards a higher total spend and reduces your per item shipping cost. Case studies indicate that bundling is particularly effective for consumable goods, where the replenishment cycle is predictable. The most sophisticated strategy in our masterclass today is the invisible offer. This is a technique used by the top 1% of Shopify brands to drive massive sales without ever mentioning the word discount or sale. This relies on the psychological principles of exclusivity and access. Imagine if a character named Maya in New York runs a boutique jewelry brand. Instead of a summer sale, she sends an email to her most loyal customers, those who have spent over $500 in the last year, inviting them to the vault. The Vault is a hidden page on her Shopify store that features limited edition pieces or early releases that are not available to the general public. The offer is not a lower price, the offer is the opportunity to buy. In a world of mass production, exclusivity is the ultimate luxury. Maya's email copy doesn't focus on savings. It focuses on the story of the pieces and the fact that only 50 of each exist. The potential outcomes of an invisible offer campaign often include higher conversion rates and a complete preservation of brand prestige. You are training your customers to value your products for their rarity and quality, not their price tag. To implement the invisible offer, you must master tag-based segmentation in your Shopify backend. You create a segment of customers tagged as VIP based on their purchase history. Your email service provider then triggers a campaign that only goes to this specific group. The link in the email leads to a password-protected page on your Shopify store. This creates a sense of belonging and a community among your high-value shoppers. We also need to discuss the post-purchase upsell, which is technically an offer sent after the transaction is complete, but before the item has shipped. In 2026, the one-click upsell is a standard for high-growth stores. Immediately after David in Denver buys his precision level, he receives an automated email or a thank you page offer saying, "Wait, we haven't packed your box yet. Would you like to add a set of specialized wood screws for an extra $10? No extra shipping cost." Because the customer has already entered their credit card information and is in a buying state of mind, the friction is near zero. This is pure profit. As we look at these strategies, it is important to remember the rule of reciprocity. If you spend 80% of your time providing value, as we discussed in the previous part, these high-octane offers will be met with enthusiasm rather than annoyance. Your audience will feel that you have earned the right to ask for the sale because you have already helped them so much. The offer is the peak of the mountain you have been helping them climb. We have now covered the infrastructure, the automation, the content engine, and the offer psychology. Your Shopify store is now positioned to outperform the majority of the market. However, there is one final frontier that most store owners are afraid to touch because it feels too complex or too intrusive. It is the bridge between the digital and the physical, the use of SMS and multi-channel synchronization. In the next part, we are going to dive into how to integrate SMS marketing with your Shopify email flows without being annoying. We will look at why text messages have a 98% open rate and how to use them as a surgical tool for flash sales and urgent cart recoveries. We will also explore the omnichannel feedback loop, where your email data informs your SMS strategy and vice versa. If you want to know how to reach your customers exactly where they are at the exact moment they are ready to buy, you cannot miss this. To understand how SMS marketing functions as a surgical tool in 2026, we have to look at the massive shift in how humans interact with their mobile devices. Historical trends over the last 3 years have shown a steady decline in the time users spend checking their primary email inboxes, while the time spent in messaging apps and SMS interfaces has increased by nearly 40%. In the United States, the open rate for a text message currently sits at a staggering 98%, with most messages being read within the first 3 minutes of receipt. However, with this power comes extreme responsibility. If you treat SMS with the same frequency as email, you will see your unsubscribe rate skyrocket and your brand reputation plummet. The key is the synchronized handshake between these two channels. Imagine a character named Chloe in Nashville who runs a high-growth Shopify brand called Lumina Scents, which specializes in luxury hand-poured candles. In 2026, Chloe doesn't view SMS as a replacement for email, but as an accelerant. She uses a strategy called the bimodal communication loop. When Chloe launches a new seasonal scent, like Midnight Jasmine, she starts the journey on email. As we discussed in the previous part, she uses the 80-20 rule to build anticipation through long-form storytelling and behind-the-scenes content in the customer's inbox. But on launch day, she uses SMS for the final mile. At exactly 10 a.m., the email goes out to her entire list. This email contains the full story, the high-resolution imagery, and the deep-dive description of the scent profile. But for her VIP segment, those who have opted in for text alerts, Chloe sends a short, punchy SMS at 10:05 a.m. The text simply says, "Midnight Jasmine is officially live. The first 100 orders get a free travel wick trimmer. Tap here to claim yours." This creates a surge of immediate, high-intent traffic that clears out her initial inventory in minutes. The email provides the context. The SMS provides the urgency. This is the surgical application of the tool. Let's look at a case study of a footwear brand called Stride North. In late 2025, they were struggling with their abandoned cart recovery rates. Their email sequence was performing at a respectable 5% recovery rate, but they knew they were leaving potential outcomes on the table. They implemented a cross-channel recovery flow. The logic worked like this. If a customer abandoned their cart, they would receive the first service-oriented email after 45 minutes. If they didn't click that email within 2 hours, the Shopify system would check if the customer was also an SMS subscriber. If they were, the system would send a single, highly personalized text message. Hey, it's Stride North. We saved your size 10 trail runners. Want us to hold them for another hour? By adding this one SMS touchpoint, Stride North saw a 30% lift in their total recovered revenue. The text message acted as a gentle nudge that bypassed the crowded email inbox and landed directly in the customer's hand. The historical data from this case study showed that the SMS was most effective when it was framed as a helpful service rather than a hard sell. Step by step, the technical setup involved using a Shopify integrated platform like PostScript or Attentive, where the wait step in the automation was conditioned on the email open event. In the 2026 regulatory environment, we must also address the importance of TCPA and CTIA compliance. In the United States, the laws regarding SMS marketing are significantly stricter than those for email. You cannot simply take the phone numbers from your Shopify checkout and start texting people. You must have explicit double opt-in consent. A masterclass level strategy involves using a mobile-first pop-up on your site. When a user visits your Shopify store on their phone, the pop-up should have a single button that says tap to get 15% off. When they tap it, their messaging app opens with a pre-written text. All they have to do is hit send. This is the two-tap opt-in, and it is the fastest way to build a high-quality SMS list in 2026. It removes the friction of typing in a phone number and ensures that you have a verified, active line of communication. Furthermore, we need to discuss the transactional SMS advantage. Many Shopify owners forget that SMS is the best way to build post-purchase trust. When a customer in Los Angeles buys a product from your store, they are immediately in a state of buyer's anxiety. They want to know their money was well spent and that their item is on the way. While Shopify sends a standard order confirmation email, an automated SMS that says order number 1234 is confirmed. We are getting it ready for you provides an immediate sense of relief. Case studies have shown that brands providing real-time shipping updates via SMS see a 25% reduction in "Where is my order?" customer service tickets. You are using SMS to protect your team's time and improve the customer experience simultaneously. Another advanced 2026 tactic is the interactive SMS survey. Instead of sending a link to a long survey on your website, you can ask a single question via text. Imagine if Chloe from Lumina Scents sent a text saying, "We are designing our winter collection. Do you prefer pine or cinnamon?" Reply A for pine, B for cinnamon. This is zero-party data collection at its most efficient. The response rate on these text-based polls is often 5 times higher than email-based surveys. The Shopify backend then automatically tags the customer based on their reply. When the winter collection launches, Chloe can send a personalized text to all the pine lovers letting them know their favorite is back. This is how you use multi-channel synchronization to create a feedback loop that makes your marketing feel like a conversation. To ensure your SMS strategy doesn't become intrusive, you must implement quiet hours. In 2026, sophisticated Shopify integrations allow you to set delivery windows based on the customer's specific area code. You should never send a promotional text before 9 a.m. or after 8 p.m. in the customer's local time zone. Sending a flash sale notification at 3 a.m. is the fastest way to get a stop reply. Respecting the personal nature of the text inbox is what separates the professional brands from the spammers. We must also look at the SMS to email pivot. If a customer clicks an SMS link but doesn't buy, that event should trigger a specific email follow-up. Since you know they are on their phone and interested in a specific product, the email can be optimized for mobile viewing with a buy now, pay later option prominently displayed. This is the essence of synchronization, using each channel to support the other, rather than treating them as silos. You are meeting the customer where they are, with the right message on the right device. The potential outcomes of a perfectly synchronized SMS and email strategy are not just measured in immediate sales, but in the velocity of the feedback loop. By getting faster responses via SMS, you can iterate on your product offerings and marketing messages in real time. You are no longer waiting days for email data to trickle in. You are seeing the market's reaction in minutes. This agility is the ultimate competitive advantage in the fast-moving Shopify ecosystem of 2026. But even with the best SMS and email flows, there is a silent killer that can take down even the most successful stores. It is the moment after the sale, the transition from a one-time buyer to a lifelong advocate. Most brands put 90% of their effort into the acquisition and only 10% into the retention. This is a mathematical mistake that will eventually erode your profit margins as advertising costs continue to rise. In the next part, we are going to dive into the post-purchase bliss sequence. I will show you how to turn the thank you email into your most profitable automation. We will look at the exact timing for replenishment reminders and how to use loyalty tiers to turn a $20 customer into a $2,000 customer. We are moving from the art of the sale to the science of the relationship. If you want to know how to make your Shopify store truly unshakable, you need to see how we handle the customer after they hit the buy button. The moment a customer clicks the complete order button on your Shopify store, they enter a psychological state known as the post-purchase honeymoon. In 2026, the data is clear. This is the period of highest brand affinity and engagement. However, most store owners treat the thank you page and the subsequent confirmation email as a digital receipt rather than a strategic opportunity. Historical trends in the U.S. e-commerce sector indicate that the cost of acquiring a new customer is now 5 to 7 times higher than the cost of retaining an existing one. If you are not maximizing the post-purchase bliss sequence, you are essentially pouring water into a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. To achieve sustainable potential outcomes, we must transform this sequence into a multi-stage loyalty engine. Imagine a character named Emily in Austin, Texas. She just purchased a high-end $150 ergonomic desk chair from your Shopify store, Zenith Workspaces. The second her transaction clears, she receives the first email in the sequence. In 2026, we call this the transactional hybrid. Most brands send a boring black and white order confirmation. Zenith Workspaces, however, sends an email that is 20% transaction and 80% celebration. The subject line is an order 5678 confirmed. It is welcome to the Zenith family, Emily. Here is what happens next. Inside, Emily sees a high-energy video from the founder explaining the craftsmanship behind her chair. This immediately validates her decision and combats the natural buyer's remorse that often follows a triple-digit purchase. The technical setup for this in Shopify involves customizing the native notification templates or, preferably, using an integration like Klaviyo to take over the transactional flow. By doing this, you can inject dynamic content that changes based on the specific product purchased. If Emily bought a desk chair, she gets a video about ergonomics. If she bought a standing desk, she gets a guide on the health benefits of alternating between sitting and standing. This level of granular personalization in 2026 is no longer optional. It is expected. 48 hours later, while the package is still in transit, Emily receives the second email. The anticipation builder. This is where you use the educational gap strategy. You know the product hasn't arrived yet, so you use this time to prepare her for success. For Zenith Workspaces, this email includes a PDF guide titled The Perfect 5-Minute Ergonomic Setup. By providing value before the product even touches her doorstep, you are building a repository of goodwill. Case studies of luxury furniture brands have shown that providing setup guides during the shipping window reduces assembly-related customer service inquiries by 40%. You are making Emily an expert on the product before she even owns it. Now let's look at the arrival. Through Shopify's shipping integrations, your email system knows the exact moment the carrier marks the package as delivered. This triggers the unboxing experience email. This should hit Emily's inbox within 2 hours of delivery. It shouldn't ask for a review yet. Instead, it should say, "It's here. Open this for your quick start guide." This email should contain a short, 30-second loop or GIF showing the easiest way to unbox and assemble the chair without damaging the components. Historical trends show that the first 60 minutes of physical interaction with the product determine the customer's long-term satisfaction. If the unboxing is seamless, the review will be positive. Wait 7 to 10 days before sending the social proof catalyst. This is the fourth email in the sequence, and it is where you ask for a review or user-generated content. In 2026, the best way to do this is through an incentivized request. You tell Emily that if she uploads a photo of her new workspace to Instagram and tags the brand, she will receive a 15% credit toward her next purchase. This does two things. It generates high-quality marketing material for you, and it creates a reason for Emily to come back and buy again. This leads us to the most powerful part of the post-purchase engine, the replenishment and cross-sell flow. To master this, you must understand the product lifespan variable. If you sell a consumable like skincare or coffee, you can calculate exactly when the customer is likely to run out. Imagine if Emily also bought a bottle of premium leather cleaner for her chair. Your data shows the average bottle lasts 60 days. On day 52, the system triggers a replenishment reminder. This email uses a one-click reorder link. Emily doesn't have to navigate your site, add to cart, and enter her details. She simply taps the button in the email, and the Shopify checkout uses her stored information to complete the order in seconds. For non-consumables like the chair itself, we use the complementary cross-sell. If Emily has the chair, what else does she need? A floor mat to protect her hardwood? A lumbar pillow? A cable management tray? Step by step, you look at the purchase history of thousands of customers to see what they bought 30 days after buying the chair. If 20% of them bought the floor mat, that is your primary cross-sell offer for Emily. Case studies indicate that a well-timed, data-driven cross-sell can increase the customer lifetime value or CLV by 25 to 30% in the first 6 months. The final stage of the post-purchase bliss sequence is the loyalty tier transition. In 2026, you should be using a points-based or tier-based system integrated directly into your Shopify store. After her second purchase, Emily receives an email titled "You have been promoted to silver status." This email explains her new benefits, such as free shipping on all orders or early access to new product drops. This creates a psychological barrier to exit. If Emily needs another piece of office furniture, she is less likely to check Amazon or a competitor, because she has already invested in her status at Zenith Workspaces. You have moved the relationship from transactional to tribal. To implement this technically, you need to ensure your retention segments are firing. You should have a segment for one-time buyers, repeat customers, and VIPs. Your post-purchase flow should look different for each. A VIP who has spent $1,000 shouldn't get the same thank you email as a first-time buyer who spent $20. The VIP should get a direct line to a dedicated support representative or a personal note from the CEO. This level of attention to detail is what creates the unshakable brand loyalty we are aiming for. We have now mapped out the entire life cycle of the customer, from the first sign-up to the 5th purchase. Your Shopify store is no longer just a storefront. It is a sophisticated, automated ecosystem that nurtures leads and maximizes every single dollar of revenue. But as you scale, you will face a new challenge. As your list grows from 1,000 to 100,000, how do you maintain this level of personalization without spending 20 hours a day in your dashboard? How do you ensure that your emails continue to land in the primary inbox as the algorithms of Gmail and Outlook become even more aggressive? In the next part, we are going to dive into the advanced deliverability and scaling strategy. I will show you the technical secrets behind IP warming, DMARC, SPF, and DKIM configuration in the 2026 landscape. We will also look at how to use artificial intelligence to write subject lines that adapt to each individual user's behavior in real time. This is the high-level technical mastery that ensures your hard work actually gets seen by your customers. If your emails aren't being delivered, none of these strategies matter. It is time to look under the hood at the technical plumbing of global-scale email marketing. The technical plumbing of email marketing in 2026 has evolved into a sophisticated game of digital reputation. If you treat your email service provider like a simple megaphone, the gatekeepers of the internet, primarily Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft, will treat your messages like noise and bury them in the spam folder. To understand the gravity of this, we must look at the historical trends that began with the major sender mandates of early 2024 and have only intensified since. Today, the infrastructure of your Shopify store must be perfectly aligned with global authentication standards, or your marketing efforts will yield zero results. Imagine a character named Marcus in Chicago who runs a rapidly growing Shopify store called Aries Gear, selling high-performance outdoor equipment. Marcus has built a list of 50,000 subscribers and his content is world-class. However, over the last 3 months, he noticed his open rates plummeted from 30% down to 8%. He assumed his audience was losing interest, but the data told a different story. Because Marcus had not properly configured his DMARC, SPF, and DKIM records, his emails were being flagged as unauthenticated. In the eyes of Gmail's 2026 AI filters, Marcus looked like a potential fisher rather than a legitimate business owner. The first step in our technical masterclass is the holy trinity of email authentication. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is essentially a digital guest list. It tells the receiving server exactly which IP addresses and domains are authorized to send emails on your behalf. If your Shopify store is sending through Klaviyo or another platform but your SPF record doesn't reflect that, the receiving server gets suspicious. DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, acts as a digital seal on your envelope. It uses cryptographic signatures to prove that the email was actually sent by your domain and hasn't been tampered with in transit. Finally, DMARC, which stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting and Conformance, is the policy layer. It tells the receiving server what to do if the SPF or DKIM checks fail. In 2026, having a DMARC policy set to P equals none is no longer sufficient for high-volume senders. To achieve peak deliverability, you must move toward P equals quarantine or P equals reject. Case studies of enterprise-level Shopify stores show that proper DMARC enforcement can lead to a sustained 15% lift in inbox placement. Once your authentication is solid, we must address the concept of IP warming. Many store owners make the mistake of moving their list of 100,000 people to a new provider and hitting send on a massive campaign immediately. This is the fastest way to destroy your reputation. Think of it like a marathon. You wouldn't run 26 miles on your first day of training. IP warming is the process of gradually increasing the volume of mail sent from a new IP address or domain over several weeks. Step by step, you start by sending only to your most engaged subscribers, those who have opened or clicked an email in the last 30 days. These positive engagement signals tell ISPs like Outlook and Gmail that people actually want your mail. Historically, brands that follow a strict 4-week warming schedule see far fewer deliverability hurdles than those that attempt to blast their entire list on day one. In 2026, list hygiene is not just a maintenance task. It is a growth lever. We must talk about the silent killer of e-commerce profitability: gray mail. This refers to emails that people technically opted in for but no longer want to receive. They don't report it as spam, but they never open it. This lack of engagement is a negative signal to ISPs. To combat this, you must implement an automated sunset flow. This is a sequence that identifies subscribers who have not engaged in 90 days. You send them 1 or 2 high-value re-engagement emails, and if they still don't open, you automatically unsubscribe them. It feels counterintuitive to delete potential customers, but by removing the dead weight, you improve the deliverability for the 90% of your list that actually cares. A case study from a US-based apparel brand revealed that by cutting their list size by 20% through a sunset flow, their total revenue from email actually increased because their messages finally started landing in the primary tab instead of the promotions tab. Furthermore, we need to discuss the role of AI in deliverability optimization. In 2026, the elite Shopify stores are using predictive send time optimization, or STO. Traditional STO sends an email at, say, 10 a.m. in the user's time zone. But AI-driven STO goes deeper. It analyzes when an individual user, like Sarah in Seattle, typically interacts with her phone. If Sarah usually checks her personal emails at 8:15 p.m. while sitting on her couch, the system will hold her email until that exact window. This maximizes the chance of being at the very top of her inbox when she opens the app. Historical data from early 2026 suggests that personalized send times can increase click-through rates by up to 22% compared to static batch and blast methods. Another technical asset you must leverage is BME, or brand indicators for message identification. This is the technology that allows your brand's logo to appear next to your email in the inbox, similar to a verified checkmark on social media. In 2026, this is a major trust signal. To implement BME, you must have your DMARC policy set to enforcement and hold a verified mark certificate or VMC. While it requires a technical setup and a small investment, the potential outcomes are significant. Consumers are naturally more likely to open an email that displays a recognizable, verified logo, especially in a crowded inbox filled with generic text-based senders. We also have to look at the content-level filtering that happens in real time. While old-school advice told you to avoid words like free or buy, modern filters are much smarter. They look at the ratio of images to text. If your email is just one giant image, you are at a high risk of being flagged. Why? Because spammers often use images to hide text that filters would otherwise catch. In 2026, your emails should maintain a 60-40 text-to-image ratio. You should also ensure that all your images have alt text. This is not only for accessibility but also for the filters to understand what the content is about when images are blocked by default. Lastly, the placement of your unsubscribe link matters. Many brands try to hide it in a tiny font at the bottom. This is a mistake. If a user can't find the unsubscribe link, they will hit the spam button instead. A spam report is a massive blow to your reputation, whereas an unsubscribe is neutral. In 2026, the most successful brands are moving the unsubscribe or manage preferences link to the top of the email for unengaged segments. It shows confidence and keeps your list clean and high intent. We have now covered the deep technical foundations that ensure your voice is heard. Your infrastructure is secure, your reputation is protected, and your timing is optimized by AI. You are now operating at a level that 95% of your competitors haven't even considered. But even with perfect delivery, your strategy is only as good as the data that fuels it. If you are treating every customer the same, you are still leaving money on the table. The future of Shopify success lies in the ability to move beyond basic lists and into the world of hypersegmentation and behavioral triggers. In the next part, we are going to dive into the world of advanced segmentation and predictive analytics. I will show you how to identify your future VIPs before they even make their second purchase. We will look at the RFM model, recency, frequency, and monetary value, and how to use it to predict churn before it happens. We are going to move from being reactive to being proactive with your data. If you want to know how to use your Shopify data to literally see into the future of your customers' behavior, you cannot miss Part 9. To understand the power of predictive analytics in 2026, we must first look at the static nature of traditional marketing. For decades, e-commerce store owners looked at their data through a rearview mirror, analyzing what happened last month to guess what might happen next month. In this masterclass, we are flipping that model. We are moving into the world of the RFM model, which stands for recency, frequency, and monetary value. This is the gold standard for high-growth Shopify stores because it allows you to categorize your customers based on their actual behavior rather than just their demographics. Historical trends show that brands utilizing RFM-based segmentation see a significantly higher engagement rate because the message always aligns with the customer's current relationship with the brand. Imagine a character named Jordan in Seattle who runs a premium pet supplement store on Shopify called Canine Vitality. In 2026, Jordan does not treat his email list as one giant group. Instead, he uses the RFM model to create distinct buckets. Let us break down how this works step by step. First, there is recency. This is the measure of how long it has been since a customer last made a purchase. A customer who bought yesterday is in a completely different psychological state than a customer who bought 6 months ago. Second, there is frequency. This measures how often a customer buys. A one-time buyer is a lead you are still trying to convince, while a 5-time buyer is a brand advocate. Third, there is monetary value. This is the total amount of money the customer has spent. By combining these 3 metrics, Jordan can identify his champion segment. These are customers who bought recently, buy often, and spend a lot of money. To implement this technically within Shopify, you use a combination of native segments and advanced third-party data tools that assign a score from 1 to 5 for each RFM category. A customer with a score of 555 is your absolute VIP. For Jordan, these are the people who receive the invisible offer we discussed earlier. They get early access to new hip and joint supplement formulas before they are even announced on social media. But the real magic of predictive analytics happens when we look at the at-risk segment. These are customers who have high frequency and high monetary scores but a very low recency score. Imagine a customer named Taylor in Miami who spent $3,000 at Canine Vitality over 2 years, buying supplements every month, but has not purchased anything in the last 90 days. In 2026, the potential outcomes of identifying Taylor before she churns are massive. This is where the churn prediction flow comes into play. Historical trends in subscription-based e-commerce indicate that if you can reach an at-risk customer within a specific window of their expected next purchase date, you can increase retention by up to 30%. Jordan sets up an automated flow that triggers when a customer's recency score drops below a certain threshold relative to their individual frequency. The email Taylor receives is not a generic sale. It is a win-back nudge that says, "We noticed it has been a while since your last order of vitamin chews. Is everything okay with your pup?" This service-oriented approach addresses the potential reason for the lapse without immediately resorting to a margin-cutting discount. Now let us move into the future with predictive intent scoring. In 2026, Shopify stores are leveraging machine learning to identify future VIPs. This is a segment of first-time buyers who exhibit the same behavioral patterns as your top 1% of customers. For example, if data shows that your most loyal customers all started by purchasing a specific starter kit and then signed up for the newsletter within 24 hours, the AI will flag any new customer who follows that exact path. Jordan uses this to trigger a VIP fast-track flow. Instead of the standard welcome sequence, these high-potential customers receive a more high-touch experience, perhaps even a personal video message or a physical postcard sent via a Shopify-integrated direct mail app. You are investing your marketing dollars where they have the highest potential for a long-term return. Another critical component of advanced segmentation is the concept of category affinity. If you have a large catalog, sending a general newsletter to everyone is inefficient. Jordan segments his list based on the types of pets his customers own. If Taylor in Miami only buys products for senior dogs, sending her an email about a new puppy training harness is a waste of an impression. By using Shopify tags like pet_senior, Jordan ensures that every email Taylor opens feels like it was written specifically for her. Case studies of multi-category retailers have shown that transitioning from general broadcast to affinity-based campaigns can lead to a 40% increase in revenue per email sent. Let us look at a technical scenario involving the expected date of next order, or EDNO. In 2026, your Shopify backend should be calculating the average time between purchases for every individual customer. If a customer typically buys every 45 days, the system should not send them a promotional email on day 10. That is just noise. Instead, you save your best content for day 40. This is the anticipatory strike. You hit their inbox exactly when their internal supply is running low, and their brain is beginning to think about reordering. This level of precision is how you dominate a niche in 2026. You are not just selling. You are becoming an integrated part of their lifestyle and routine. We also must address the monetary segment for those who are high value but low frequency. These are your whale customers. They might only buy once or twice a year, but when they do, they spend thousands. For Jordan, this might be a kennel owner or a professional dog trainer. These customers require a completely different tone. They do not want flash sales or trendy content. They want bulk pricing, professional-grade reliability, and dedicated support. By segmenting these whales and moving them into a B2B-style email flow, Jordan has seen potential outcomes where his average order value for this segment is 10 times higher than his general list. The step-by-step implementation for all of this requires a clean data structure. You must ensure that your Shopify checkout is collecting the right information and that your email service provider is syncing that data in real time. You should be using liquid code or dynamic content blocks within your emails to show different products to different segments within the same campaign. This allows you to send one master email that automatically adapts its content based on the recipient's RFM score and category affinity. This is how you scale. You build the logic once, and the system executes it for every new subscriber. We have now moved from the basics of a welcome flow to the high-level science of predictive modeling. You have a system that identifies who will buy, what they will buy, and when they will buy it. Your Shopify store is now a predictive engine. But there is one final piece to this masterclass. Even with all this data and all these flows, how do you tie it all together into a cohesive brand strategy that lasts for decades? How do you move from a successful store to a legacy brand that can eventually be sold for a massive multiple? In the final part of this masterclass, we are going to look at the global brand architecture and the exit strategy. We will discuss how to audit your entire email ecosystem to find the hidden leaks that are costing you money. We will also look at the future of e-commerce in the late 2020s and how to stay ahead of the next wave of technological shifts. We have built the machine. Now it is time to look at the horizon. The finale is where we bring everything together to ensure your long-term success. To achieve long-term success in the 2026 Shopify landscape, you must view your email marketing ecosystem not just as a sales tool, but as a business asset that adds tangible value to your company's valuation. When we talk about global brand architecture, we are discussing the shift from being a store that sends emails to being a media-driven brand that happens to sell products. Historical trends in the U.S. private equity and venture capital space suggest that e-commerce brands with a robust, owned audience strategy are currently being acquired at multiples 30 to 50% higher than those reliant on paid acquisition alone. This is because an email list that generates 30% of total revenue consistently is a predictable revenue stream, whereas a brand built on Meta or TikTok is a liability. Imagine a character named Sophia in San Francisco, who has spent the last 3 years building a Shopify brand called Aurora Botanicals. It is now late 2026, and Sophia is looking for an exit strategy. She is meeting with potential buyers, and they are not asking about her return on ad spend from last month. They are asking for her customer cohort analysis and her email engagement data. They want to see the retention rate of customers acquired through her educational flows versus those acquired through a discount pop-up. Sophia's success in this negotiation depends entirely on the architecture we have built throughout this masterclass. The first step in finalizing your architecture is the global audit. You must look for the hidden leaks that are costing you money. Step by step, you should begin by analyzing your flow completion rates. Most store owners set up an automation and never look at it again. In 2026, you must look at where people are dropping off in your 7-day sequences. If 60% of people open email 1 but only 10% open email 3, you have a content gap. Historical data suggests that by simply rewriting the subject lines and lead-ins for underperforming emails in an automated flow, you can increase the total revenue from that flow by 15% without increasing your traffic. Next, you must audit your revenue per recipient or RPR. This is a much more critical metric than a simple click-through rate. If you send an email to 10,000 people and generate $5,000, your RPR is 50 cents. By tracking this across different segments, you can identify which types of content actually move the needle. Sophia discovered that her RPR was 3 times higher on emails that featured long-form educational stories about her sourcing process compared to her direct sales emails. This data allowed her to pivot her global strategy to a content-first model, which stabilized her revenue and made her brand much more attractive to investors. Now let us look at the future of e-commerce as we move toward the late 2020s. We are entering an era of AI to AI marketing. In 2026, many consumers are using AI agents to manage their personal inboxes. These agents scan emails and provide summaries to the user, often filtering out anything that feels like a generic promotion. To stay ahead of this technological shift, your emails must be optimized for semantic relevance. This means your content needs to be so high value and specific that the AI agent classifies it as essential information rather than clutter. You achieve this by leaning into the zero-party data strategies we discussed. If your email contains specific advice based on the customer's previous skin type quiz results, the AI agent will prioritize that message. Furthermore, we are seeing a shift toward the omnichannel feedback loop. In 2026, your Shopify store should be integrated with every touchpoint, from your email to your physical packaging and your customer support portal. Imagine if a customer in New York opens a support ticket about a broken item. Within seconds, your email system should trigger a specific flow that pauses all marketing communications for that user and replaces them with a high-touch recovery sequence. Once the issue is resolved, the system triggers a surprise and delight offer to rebuild the relationship. This is the level of sophistication required to build a legacy brand. You are moving away from being a cold transactional entity and toward being a proactive service provider. As Sophia prepares for her exit, she focuses on her list health and decay rate. In 2026, a list of 100,000 people with a high decay rate is worth less than a list of 20,000 people with zero decay. You must implement a permanent cleaning schedule. This involves a monthly removal of any email addresses that have bounced more than twice or have been unengaged for over 6 months. This maintains your sender reputation and ensures your data is accurate. When an investor looks at Sophia's Shopify dashboard, they see a lean, high-velocity machine where every subscriber is a potential high-value customer. The exit strategy also involves documenting your systems. A buyer is not just buying your revenue, they are buying your processes. You should have a playbook that outlines every automation, every segment, and every offer strategy we have covered. This makes the business turnkey. Case studies of successful 2025 and 2026 brand acquisitions show that the documentation of the email ecosystem is often the deciding factor in a high-multiple exit. It proves that the success of the brand is not a fluke or tied to the personality of the founder, but is the result of a scientific, repeatable system. We have now reached the conclusion of this 10-part masterclass. We started by building a foundation of data collection and trust. We moved into the world of high-converting automations and recovery ecosystems. We mastered the 80-20 content rule and the psychology of the offer. We synchronized our communications across SMS and email, and we used predictive analytics to see into the future of customer behavior. Finally, we looked at the technical plumbing and the global architecture required for a legacy exit. The potential outcomes for your Shopify store are limited only by your execution of these details. The elite 1% of e-commerce owners are not doing one thing 100% better. They are doing 100 things 1% better. Every subject line, every segment, and every automated trigger is a brick in the fortress you are building around your brand. As you move forward into the late 2020s, remember that the most valuable currency in the world is the direct, trusted attention of your audience. If you protect that relationship and continue to provide massive value, your business will remain unshakable regardless of algorithm changes or economic shifts. This concludes our deep dive into Shopify email marketing. You now have the full blueprint. The only question left is how fast you can implement it. If you found value in this masterclass, ensure your data structures are aligned with the 2026 standards we discussed today. Your future success starts with the first email you send after this video. The next phase of your journey involves the integration of advanced AI creative tools to lower your content production costs while increasing your output. We will be diving into how to use generative models to create thousands of personalized product images for your emails without a photo shoot. If you want to see the future of automated creative scaling, you are going to want to see our upcoming deep dive into the AI creative revolution for Shopify.